Well, hello from me, hello from Jack, and hello from...
Twiz.
We are Man Caves and...
Strawberry
Daiquiris. Cheers. So...
You want some Jack? No.
Jack is our number one critique, isn't he?
What a beautiful boy.
And I've been quite glad to have him at my side for this film, because there was a little doggy in this film, wasn't there?
Oh, there was.
Was.
Spoilers.
Come to that later. So, back in your lovely cinema.
Yeah, we're back with... So, two times we came here to watch a film, and both times our DVD player broke on us, and we had to go back to mine. This time, Gavin brought his PlayStation 3 round, all ready to rock. Didn't have a charger for
The
your
controller.
Yeah.
First of all, we didn't have a controller, and I was like, oh, no we do. And then the controller was flat. No.
I had to rummage through all my boxes, and eventually I found the...
Yes, because I refused to rummage through your box.
So, welcome back to my cinema.
And I'm delighted actually to be back in here, because you really do get a really big screen. It's like, literally, it's like if you went to the Broadway screen, screen 4, wouldn't it, downstairs? It's the size of that screen, isn't it? Really?
I mean, I forget, because I don't use this as much as I should. But the bigger the screen, the more you appreciate the framing that they've used and kind of some of the details that you can see that you don't really see on a smaller screen.
No, and one of the reasons that I chose the film that I've chose for today was because A, I haven't seen it for so long, like 20 years plus. B, when I did see it, it was on VHS, and I've only ever seen it on a TV screen. So naturally, for me, I wanted to choose A, a film that you hadn't seen, and B, why am I doing it all in A's and B's?
What's it called? What is it?
So the film is called Dead Calm, and it were dead good. Sorry, cheap joke. And film from 1989, a thriller film from 1989,
Quite nice.
starring, I like the daiquiris, starring Sam Neill, who I really like, Nicole Kidman, very young looking Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Teenage, maybe.
Well,
Maybe not.
maybe not. But 20s Nicole Kidman,
Okay.
I would have said, I think.
Right.
1989, I don't know if we can do the math. She's older than me, and I'm 53.
Oh,
now.
yeah, I keep thinking it, because the film's got an aesthetic where it feels earlier than 1989.
Yeah, I thought, when we were watching it, I thought it was at 85, 86.
Yeah, I was going to say 83, 84.
Yeah.
Kind of,
It definitely has that sort of... it's got that sort of Fatal Attraction type sort of feel. And that was 86, I think, something like 87.
I mean, I think part of it's the budget, It's not got the biggest budget, and I think that it's got certain aspects of it show that.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, there were definitely some things there.
And there was just one other person in it, wasn't there? There's only 3
Billy
people.
Zane! The zany Billy Zane. Billy Zane. I can't think...
Pretty boy Billy
Zane. Well, he is a good looking lad.
Yeah, he was pretty. He was had the pretty boy thing going on in this one.
Very sweaty.
Always sweaty.
He's like the Rock from Fast and Furious.
Always had his top off.
Well, I mean, women wouldn't have minded that, and some men wouldn't have either. But
It reminds
I don't know
you.
how you felt about that.
I bet he had it in his contract that I'll do this film as long as I can't wear a top.
I just have to wear shorts. Actually,
because that's happened before, hasn't it? Will Smith did that.
Oh God, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, you never know.
Did you know that?
I didn't, but I'm going to try and guess what film though.
So he put in his contract.
Bad Boys.
So what he put in his contract was that whenever he makes a film, there has to be at least one scene where he doesn't have a top on.
Oh, for every film.
Yeah. So you'll notice I don't know if I'm getting everything 100% right, but in all his films there's a shower scene of him having a shower.
Or top off.
Because he's got his top off and he's flexing his muscles showing.
He must have bloody loved it when he did Ali then, because it's like
tops
up all the time.
Yeah.
So in Independence Day, he must have his top. Oh, we're getting...
There'll be a shower scene in Independence.
Listen, Dwiz, you've sucked us into a sideline here. That's not completely...
And that's the end of this episode.
It's completely off tangent. But wow, I love facts that I don't know about. And that's certainly a fact I'm interested to watch his other films now.
A lot of these facts I've come up with maybe I dreamt most of it.
I don't think so.
There's always a chance.
In Wild Wild West, he's in a barrel of water, isn't he, in
Yeah.
that scene, and it gets kicked over, and he stands there with his hands over his crotch, and you actually see his backside in that.
But the film where he's hunting like AI robots that've gone rogue.
Robot, yeah, iRobot.
Yeah, he's got a shower scene
Yeah.
in that.
What about Pursuit of Happiness, though?
I've not seen that.
Good film. Anyway, we digress. Stepping back from Will Smith's torso, great fact though. Let's go to you first because you haven't seen that before. I only remember bits of it, and I just wanted to re-see it because I just remember I liked it as a kid.
20 years, man. That's a long time.
20 plus years I've not seen that in. So, what did you think?
I really liked it. I got a real sense of nostalgia from just the type of film it was. It was very simple. Like a lot of films you watch nowadays, that they go really into detail about people's psyche and their motivation and things, and there's none of that in this. It's just a really nice simple tale that doesn't ask you to think too hard. You just enjoy it for what it is, and the kind of camera angles and lighting and the type of acting and the pacing of it stuff really gave me a warm, fuzzy sense of nostalgia from that period.
Nice.
I think it's a very good example of the filmmaking from that period, on a low budget. Yeah. Really liked it.
So because the budget was low, for rewatching that now, and again not appreciating it when I was 19, which is how old I'd have been when I first seen it. Trying to think like with your head on for a minute, because I like to do that now. I like to look at. I watch films now with you, and I look more at cinematography and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
So see what you think to these ideas that I've come up with my head, right?
Interesting.
Okay, because the film is literally the like 95% of the film is literally shot on just two boats. Okay, and it splits between the two boats for most of the film, right? I'm going to say that I think the director and the cinematography team, or director of photography, decided to make it feel even more claustrophobic. They were going to do lots and lots of really close shots, because quite a lot of the shots I noticed were really tight on the faces, or even when people were doing stuff, it was lots of close-ups on them or incidentals and things. There was not hardly anything was done as a wide, apart from when you wanted or needed to see the entire boat. Otherwise everything was either mid or really tight. So I would say he's probably chose that because it created a really quite a nice claustrophobic feel. Or am I talking a load of bollocks?
No, you're probably right. Actually, I hadn't actually thought of it, but now you've said it. Yeah, you will be right. That would have been why they did it. That's very interesting. Yeah, because they didn't have to film like that. Yeah, they could have used wides and things. Yeah. Well done. Well done. Yeah.
Hey, strike one. Hey, thanks, Ben.
It is interesting when you peel back. Everything that happens or is in a film. There's been a motivation why it's there as it is.
Why it's been done the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, it should be if they thought about it. That's the thing, isn't it? If it's a good film.
Anything good.
Then you know then, don't you, that they've actually thought about how they're going to do this and why they want to do it that way.
Yeah, and time is money, so you have to plan everything out in advance. You can't make it up as you go along because it's too expensive to do that.
I can't imagine that being an easy shoot to have done, even though it would have been low budget. I can't imagine that for a minute being an easy shoot.
Well, what you've got to remember is like pretty much, most of that would have been shot in a studio.
The internals and everything.
Yeah.
Complete internals.
Yeah, and even a lot of the stuff on the deck would have been shooted.
On a tank, with something in a tank or something, maybe.
Yeah, well, maybe not when you can see the sea, but certainly like just because it was outside, you didn't necessarily see the sea behind them quite a lot of the time. You just assumed it was there. So, yeah, I bet it would have been a great film to work on if you were on the team that's actually out on the boats.
Yeah.
Because that, obviously none of that screen or anything. That's
not in those days.
No.
Not in those days.
Yeah.
So breaking it down then, first of all, should we talk about how strong the story was? Did you think the story was strong, bearing in mind 89? I mean, we've seen this sort of thriller done quite a lot now, haven't we? bearing in mind in '89, perhaps maybe not so much. Maybe. What did you think to the story?
I'd say this. Well, the story seemed. I mean, it was a bit standard. There was no surprises in there.
You said it was simple. I know you didn't mean it in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
It was a simple story, which it was, wasn't it? It didn't need to be convoluted, did it?
It was very simple, and there was only a few beats, like him being locked up at the beginning, and then her drugging him and him escaping again, and there was only a few like cyclic kind of things to build the tension, and there was no real surprises about how it all unfolded, though. I don't know if this is tying in with what the question you're asking, but the film hit the ground running, like bang, straight into it, right? So what's the? It was completely unnecessary to have the car crash with the kid dying.
Well, you say that, but what it made me think was that the journey that she went through during that film, she felt guilt. She must have felt guilt for the. So basically, again, spoilers. If you don't want to be
for a 25-year-old, 35-year-old film.
So yeah, it was quite hard actually. It was tough that bit, wasn't it? Really though, to say.
The kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a car accident. She's got a little kid. He's taking his seatbelt off to get something off the floor of the car. She has a car crash, and she gets really badly injured. But the kid goes flying through the windscreen, and they don't cut away from all of that. It's there. It's right in your face, right? So, I immediately think, well, he takes her away on this boat trip to try and help her mentally deal with the process because she must be feeling guilty and so forth. But then, if you think about it, throughout the entire film, once the Billy Zane's gone nuts and he's on the other ship and that, it's down to her to rescue him, and by doing so, it's a bit cathartic for her, isn't it? Because she probably felt really guilty and probably feels as though it's her fault that the kid died. But then by being strong and being able to deal with the Billy Zane character and get the boat back and rescue him, in a way, she's kind of redeemed herself a bit, maybe. What do you think to that?
That's not how it came across to me. That there is that. You could give it that interpretation. I was expecting there to be a more direct correlation or payoff. Maybe Billy Zane would tell her he's got a kid or something. Sure,
make it a bigger deal in the movie.
Yeah, there's I see what your point. I see what your redemption arc about her guilt. I can see what you mean, but it didn't help the story in any way because it wouldn't have been a better story if they'd just been on holiday on that boat.
No,
they could have been on that boat for any reason, and
yeah,
it would have unravelled the same way.
Yeah,
and been just as satisfying. It does make me wonder whether they originally had planned for some extra kind of payoff to do with.
So maybe it was written in. We noticed, didn't we, that it came from a book. Be interesting to see if the book has extra bits in it that have that payoff.
To not reference it, So you got that whole intro, and they didn't reference it for the rest of the film.
But the relationship between.
Or I even thought when she slept with Billy Zane, I even thought, I wonder if she's going to get pregnant and she's going to have his child.
Right.
But there was, because I was just waiting for what was the point of that beginning.
Yeah.
And it was so dark, such a dark beginning, But I don't want to stick on that point.
No, it's interesting. This is why we do this,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to hear different points of view because I did see it a little bit different to that, but I also I do see a point though. If they were on that boat for any other reason, then with a different backstory, mind you, you'd have to build in the sleeping tablets, wouldn't you? Somehow. Although it's a big thing to have to get just so that you can have sleeping tablets. Let's kill your kid so you can have sleeping tablets on the boat. There must be an easier way.
She has to have trouble sleeping.
Let's kill her kid.
She must have been in a car crash, obviously.
Okay, so that's really cool. As far as the acting goes, that's definitely a film that's made or broken on the quality of the acting, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
When you're literally watching three of them. only takes one of them to be really shit, and the whole film's vetoed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because I thought Billy Zane is like a very odd casting choice. Because do you really believe that he's like unhinged? There's like I mentioned, he's like this pretty boy, and he doesn't seem to have the depth of character to be like that. But I don't know. What do you think?
I haven't seen Billy Zane in a great deal of other movies, apart from there's a Tales of the Crypt movie that he's in that he's pretty zany in as well. He's in Titanic, which you haven't seen yet. And the problem with me is that because that was the first film I ever saw Billy Zane in,
Right.
every film, because he hasn't done loads, and I only know him from about 3 or 4. Whenever I watch him in other films, I can't get that character kind of out of my head a little bit with the way he does his things.
Yeah.
So I always find him in other films a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
I think I quite liked what he did. I mean, he at first he doesn't come across as being a complete raving loony, but then he makes certain comments that make you realise, yeah, this guy's off his tits. I mean, in his opinion, he's told her that her husband's on a sinking ship so he's going to die, and then he believes in his own warped mind that she's happy to sleep with him, which any normal person would not agree with. They would say, this ain't happening, but he in his warped mind thinks is. And after he's done the deed, he then dresses in what he believes to be her dead husband's clothes. You don't see him put it on, but you don't need to. So he says, how do I smell? So he's wearing her dead husband's clothes, her dead husband's aftershave, and he's saying to her, how do I look? How do I smell? I mean, what a nut job. Completely nutty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I quite like the fact that he didn't Nick Cage it, which he could easily have been. He could have really overdone that a little bit. He does go a little bit over in places, but I like the calm and the storm that you got with his character. That made him more unhinged for me.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard one to nail. Like, I just think I think the casting is a bit weird. But I guess if you put someone, it just seemed a bit young and inexperienced in life to be that character. But I suppose at least that did give him a bit of unpredictability.
Unpredictability, yeah. I mean, there's another character in another film that is played by an older actor who's really got the acting chops to do it, who also blows hot and cold, but is really strong. And if I said the remake of Cape Fear, Robert De Niro playing Max Cady, he blows hot and cold in that film, but you're fucking terrified of him in that film, aren't you? And I suppose that's a good example of taking that kind of character and really knowing what to do with it. But I don't think he did a bad job, Billy Zane.
Yeah, it was all right. I'm just nitpicking. I mean, because the film is so simple, there's not actually a lot of talking points to go through.
There's not even that much dialogue, is there?
No.
You know.
It's really nicely paced. How long is it?
Hour and a half.
Is it?
Back in the old days.
Yeah.
Hour and a half. That was the length of a film, mate.
Yeah, I like the way so like the car crash, then they're on the boat. Okay.
Yeah.
Then they see this boat. And then he comes over, and then instantly it's like, oh, they've
husband's off to check out the other boat.
Yeah, and it all happens so quickly, and you're like, there's no like, oh, is he? Isn't he? What's going on? Is he bad? There's none of that. It's just like bang right into it straight away. It's nice.
I liked how they do the build up with Billy Zane being locked in the room and trying to get out of the room, especially when he realises that Sam Neill's gone over to the boat to find out. He knows as soon as Sam Neill goes onto the other boat, he's going to realise that he's murdered those women and blah blah blah. And I like that whole build up of Nicole Kidman taking the boat towards it, and yeah, he nearly gets to the point where she can get Sam Neill back on board in time, but doesn't, and he literally jumps, misses, and then sees his boat going off, and it's like. I can remember as a 19-year-old finding all of that quite a bit. Ooh, you know, tents and stuff.
Yeah, the stuff where you can actually see the boats out on sea and stuff is very well done. You really feel like you're there with them and you feel the danger.
I mean, God, that bit where he's nearly drowning, he's like, it's a nightmarish bit where he's trying to catch air. And then eventually that gap goes and he breaks that pipe off and blows the cockroaches out and starts breathing through that. I mean, if you're claustrophobic in any way at all, or you have a fear of drowning, you wouldn't be able to, don't watch that bit. Don't watch this film. So okay, that's cool. What about the score that they used?
Oh, really effective, wasn't it? Really interesting, really loud in places, really kind of trying to portray the power of the situation and the power of the sea, the power of nature, the power of the desperation.
It was simple but effective, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good actually. It was really good. I noticed all of it all the way through. It didn't wash over me. Sometimes you like
wash over you. Hang on.
Oh.
Wash over you. Bing bang bing bang.
One thing I wanted to point out, which I was really impressed with, was the set design on the two boats. So you got the one boat which is really modern, with modern technology, really pristine, really well kitted out. Then you've got the other boat which is like quite an old boat and it's a complete wreck. It's like all in chaos.
An old clipper, isn't it? With all the old sails and messy and
and it's all in chaos because of all the drama that's happened on the boat and stuff. And it's really great flicking back between the two boats. And
that's clever actually.
Yeah, the darkness of that boat. I'd have preferred to see a bit more of Sam Neill on that boat by himself because like loads of creepy stuff could have happened on that boat. Because like the set design was amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. When he first opens that flooded room and the headless body of that woman comes out and floats. Oh,
Grace.
Man.
And when he's like working on the engine and trying to get the electrics working and stuff like that, you don't think, oh, that's a set. You think you feel like he is actually on that boat. That looks like a boat.
It really did. It was very effective.
Yeah.
It was really effective.
And then you go back to the other boat and they're like all just hanging around in their shorts, sipping orange juice and stuff.
Not caring the world.
Yeah.
Except for the madman who's on the way. Now look,
just the cleanliness of it, you know.
How did you feel about we had to do this and we had to do that at one point, because there is a point in this where the dog gets harpooned, right? How did you feel about that, Dwiz?
Poor dog. It didn't bother me. What do you mean, how do I feel about it?
It's rare to have a film from the 80s, don't you think, where they actually kill the dog? Don't you think?
I don't know.
How many films can you think of?
If Claire's watching a film and there's a dog in it, she wants to stop watching it because she's so paranoid that the dog's going to get killed.
Right, well, Claire, the dog definitely gets killed. It gets harpooned through a door, through its head. There you go. You don't have to worry about that no more, Claire. You can watch this film now.
Well, what did you think about it?
I can remember being surprised at the time because they normally didn't do that sort of stuff that much, because it was a turn off for audiences and stuff like that. You know, test screenings and that were like, yeah, but the dog died. But they went for it, didn't they? And it's a really sweet little dog, even though it's the bloody dog's fault. She gets the keys out of the boat engine, so she can then stop the boat moving so that Sam Neill can catch up. She throws the key into the water.
That was funny.
Well, they'd already built. What's it called when you build up to something and then you know it's going to go back to that and you're going to see why?
Exactly.
What's it called? There's a name for that, isn't there?
It's just a setup, isn't it? A payoff. No,
there's actually a name for it, and I can't think what it is.
I can't. It's not a MacGuffin.
No, you see something and then you know that they're going to come back to it.
Smoking gun. It's like if you see a gun, you know someone's going to have to shoot someone with it later on. Which in fact they did in this.
They did, because they did the close up of the gun.
Yeah, I remember. Sorry, harking back to when she first threw that thing into the water for the dog, I guffawed at it because there's no way you're going to let a dog just dive into like
shark infested water.
All that seawater rotting its fur away.
I know, poor doggy.
But of course they did it for. I didn't actually click on that they were setting up something. Usually you can see they're setting something up for later.
Yeah, and it was a good little setup, wasn't it? When she threw the keys in, did you immediately think dog's going in?
No.
So it's
Did
a
you?
good. No, not when I first seen it.
Yeah.
But so really, in that respect, it was quite a good little setup, then,
It
wasn't
was.
it?
It
You know,
was.
I mean, unlike the gun, when she opens the thing, you think, she's going to be having that
Yeah,
later.
that's
That's coming out of that cupboard later. That's for sure.
Oh, a gun.
It's like
Oh,
the
that's bugging me now. What's it called when you set up like a plot point like that?
If
A plot
any-
device. It's not
yeah.
a plot device.
No, there's a special name for it.
it?
If you know it, comment, because that would be really cool. Also, another thing that where they preset as well was with the tablets too.
What's a MacGuffin then?
A MacGuffin is like, say, in Pulp Fiction, where he's got the briefcase,
Right.
and you never actually get to see what's inside it,
yeah.
but the briefcase is the MacGuffin. Yeah, like the MacGuffin in Raiders of the Lost Ark is the Ark.
Right.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah, they do the same thing with their sleeping pills as well, because they come in close on the bottles.
Set it up.
And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was quite obvious as well.
One thing that's really, really cool though, that I don't know what made me think about it at the time, but we're so used to watching thrillers now in the modern day, where at some point in like the first half an hour, they have to make it known that there's no phone reception. In 1989, people, there was no mobile phones, so they didn't have to do any of that, did they? Oh, it was a breath of fresh air, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know what? Like if you're watching something now and they decide not to insult your intelligence by like explaining why there's no phone reception, and then someone says, "Why don't they just ring the police?"
God, this is it, isn't it? It's like, why didn't they just? Why didn't they just give the ring to the Eagles, and then it would shut up? Because then we wouldn't have had an 8-hour epic trilogy.
Because then you would have paid 15 quid for a 10-minute film.
10-minute film. I'll take the ring. No, we'll give it to the Eagles. The end. So yeah, but it is a breath. It is a breath of fresh air when you watch something. You think, well, what? I didn't have to worry about any of that sort of stuff back then. They had less things to worry about now. These days, they have to get it in.
It's pretty easy to do now. The default is I've run out of battery.
Here we are in the middle of the ocean, and oh gosh, I've got no signal.
Yeah, there's no signal.
Oh! I've dropped my phone in the sea.
It's a shame you have to even address it, really. But
always going to be somebody.
Yeah.
Right, here's something else. Right, that I picked up on, and I genuinely don't know which film came first. I think Event Horizon's after this. So I think Event Horizon's from the 90s, right? And this is 89, so I'm pretty sure Sam Neill's older in Event Horizon.
I would have thought so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a 90s film, Event Horizon. I just can't remember what year. But it's really kind of weird, right? Get this. Here he is in Dead Calm, where he goes to the boat, and then he gets to see the video recordings of Billy Zane's trip, where it's all normal and everyone's happy at first. And then he slowly goes down the this thing of madness, and you don't see much of it, but you just see it through the videos that he's watching while he's fixing the boat and stuff. And in Event Horizon, you get that whole same thing again, where they find the ship's black box type thing, and they get to see how the crew of the Event Horizon slowly slip through this horrible, hellish scenario. I just thought, oh, that's weird, isn't it? Because that's Sam Neill again, and it's a similar kind of sort of way of storytelling. Well, that's pretty cool.
You do feel like they could have, in this film, they could have done a bit more. I reckon through the edit, they could have made the film slightly better for me by concentrating more on Sam Neill's character on that spooky boat.
Yeah, more time on the spooky boat,
Yeah, trying to work out how to get it fixed, maybe there's some mystery there that he has to kind of unravel first, some revelation, or the revealing of all the information about what happened on the boat.
Yeah, I think that could have been definitely, I think that if that was remade now, that definitely would have more money put into that part of it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because the reveal of what he does, you don't really actually see properly, but it's suggested through the video. Whereas if they spent a bit more time on that, then you'd have bigger insight into what Billy Zane's character's really like, just how really nuts he is.
Yeah, because it's hard to understand how he ended up as he is. Because
He must have been mad. He's just a psycho, isn't he? I think
yeah,
going from boat to boat, really.
Mm.
I mean, I bet you've worked with some psycho assistant directors before, haven't you? Because that's what he was on the boat.
They're all a bit psycho. Yeah, they're all a bit nuts.
Nuts enough to cut the head off of a woman on a photo shoot, and maybe not so.
Not yet.
Maybe not so.
I was going to say the ending was so. I thought it was a bit weird that they went back to the floating tent thing to get him.
Well, yeah.
I assume they were like, right, we need to take him to the police or whatever. But,
The things that annoy me slightly I say slightly, depending on how well a story's written and what the characters are like. If the characters in the film are quite dumb, and then they have a really good chance to just put an end to the killer, and they decide not to, I find that quite infuriating. But I normally find that infuriating in cheaper written films and stuff. And there are moments in that film where she could have ended it with him quite quickly, and you just think, why did you just do that in the first place?
yeah, just shoot him.
Just shoot him.
Throw him overboard.
Why did you said it?
Yeah.
I'd have thrown you. That's what you said. As soon as she knocks him out and ties him up and whatever, you're like, I'd have just thrown him overboard.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of that I could answer with that is that some of us just aren't made to kill people.
Yeah.
We just can't. So she does her best at tying him up, doesn't she? She does her best at nailing down the whatever and stuff.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind what she had to go through with him, I would have thought it would have been quite easy for her to have just done that.
Just the fear would have made you do it. It's not like you're going to sit down and do pros and cons list, is it?
No, I mean the fact that she had to sleep with him to wear his trust or build his trust up enough so that then she could go outside the boat to get the gun, all that sort of stuff. Because I can't actually remember that. Generally can't remember that actually happening. So I found that quite shocking. Actually, I didn't like it because it's kind of like
Yeah, it was quite shocking, actually. It's probably the most shocking thing in the whole film.
Yeah, and one thing I definitely didn't like, and I'll be honest now and say one thing I didn't like about that, rewatching it, was after he's on the raft and they think everything's okay, after he's gone missing off the raft and blah, 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 and he's washing her hair and it's all gay and light and that. I'm like, hang on, she harpooned the family dog. She's had to give up her body to this madman so that she could find a way of rescuing her husband, who was literally on the verge of death.
Yeah.
He's witnessed all this stuff, although he was a naval captain, whatever. But I just thought it was all a bit gay and light, really. Did you think that?
Yeah, it kind of poo-pooed the what had happened before, as if it was meaningless. Yeah.
And then the final scene, I thought was very effective when, although it's going to happen, it's still quite effective when it's his hands, his dirty and bloody hands that come round to do her hair. Because that's all dead creepy. It didn't really go for jump scares, did it? It wasn't that kind of film, was it? So I found that quite effective still in this day and age. Yeah. But what I didn't like was the flare through the sail. Well, I liked seeing his face laugh, and I just thought that was a little bit corny in this day and age.
I think it's difficult with these kind of films because, like, how seriously do you want to actually take them? I'm sure as filmmakers they were ambitious enough to think that they wanted to make something that might last the test of time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like a nice little throwaway piece, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like again, it kind of like it seemed to be a thing. At a certain point after Fatal Attraction, there was this thing whereby every thriller had to see the bad person die to make you think they were dead, and then at the last minute they suddenly come back and they're alive again. Happens at the end of Die Hard, happens in Fatal Attraction, happens in Jagged Edge, I think. Happens in all of them, and it seemed to be this trait, didn't it? And and that
needed your own little jump shot ending.
Yeah,
kind of vibe,
did it really need it? I don't know. I would have quite liked the idea of the fact that he just wasn't on that lifeboat anymore.
That would have been a way better ending, but yeah, there was that
Did he
trend
die? Was he dying
at the time.
Yeah, it was that trend? Yeah, but that's the only thing really. Having rewatched it, I think it still stands up quite well. Actually, that
I'd love to see it remade.
I think it'd be a really good remake. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's due for a remake, but it's not. It's not popular enough, is it?
No, it won't go on, but like, yeah, but I think it's nice. It's just a nice film. It's a nice film. It's a nice film to fill in your gaps between like, right, let's watch something really uber serious, and then or let's watch something completely fluff and throwaway, and it just sits in the middle as like a nice little piece of entertainment. That's not too demanding, doesn't take up too much time. I'm glad I feel enriched for having seen it.
Good. So, well, that's good news. We should also say that back in '89, it appears that certainly in was it New Zealand or Australia? Do you think that was filmed? Was that Australia or New Zealand? I know Kidman's New Zealand, didn't she?
I don't know. I know Sam Neill's Australia.
Yeah. Well, let's just say back in 1989, if you bought a pair of binoculars, you'd have wanted your money back. Because Sam Neill sets fire to the entire boat, which blows up so she can see where it is in the dark. And there you are, you see the glow, don't you, on the horizon where he's done. You think, oh, well done, Neill. So then she gets her binoculars and goes like that. If that's how far away it is, that's now how far away it is. And it's still the same. So the moral of the story after watching that film is don't buy binoculars from 1989.
That's right. Well, the time.
Fantastic. Well, I don't know, apart from summing it up, I don't think I've got anything else.
Well, as far as you hadn't said it, actually, we mentioned it. One last thing is like, it's not against the film or anything, it's a sign of the times, but there was like an underlying like sexism.
Oh, arse shots. Nicole Kidman's arse shots.
Yeah, every moment.
Oh, I did, yeah.
There was an arse shot. And,
yeah.
There was a time where like they had like, not a disagreement, but they were wondering about something, and Sam Neill's character said to Nicole Kidman something like, "Just do what I want, please."
Oh yeah. Look, just do what I've asked, babe.
Yeah, just do as I've asked, and she's like,
just do as I've asked, babe. And she's like, yeah, oh, okay, gives me a kiss. I want to see you try that.
In a really condescending
I want to see you try that with Claire. I want to see you document it as well.
And this is the last ever episode of
Claire, make us a cup of tea. Well, why? Look, just do what I've asked. Just do what I've asked, please. Will you, babe? Just do what I've asked. And finish it with the word babe, just like he did. Just do what I've asked, would you, babe? Dead twist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not. Cockery over your head. And rightly so.
Wow.
And rightly so. But yeah, you're right. There was that, and there's a lot of art that.
Yeah, there were shots where they were like there was no need.
Backside shots.
There was no need.
Just
it was just like a conversation. Yeah. So how come you're showing her arse? Like what? It's like so weird.
Yeah. I mean, you do get to see Billy Zane's backside as well, though, don't you?
You do.
In close up, because like I said, claustrophobic.
They did go in quite close.
I felt claustrophobic when we came.
There was either going for claustrophobic shots, so they didn't have the budget for any wide-angle lenses.
So Billy, we're going to come in really tight on your arse now. Why? Well, we haven't got the budget to light.
Just do as we ask, babe.
Oh yeah. Oh okay, kiss. All right. So I'm gonna ask you first for your summary, and then I'll give you mine.
I mean, I couldn't really recommend it, not unless you've got like a nostalgic 80s, fancy in you to watch like a nice throwaway film, or maybe if you're looking for some inspiration on how to shoot like a tight budget film with only a few actors in, So yeah, I don't want to give it a number.
No, you never do. Well, you've only done that once, actually.
It's just a film that's instantly forgettable, to be honest, and probably won't be remembered, too far into the future. But if you want to fill in a gap of 80s filmmaking, then have a look. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm always going to give it a number. You know that. I remember it fonder from when I was younger.
Right.
There were certainly lots in there that I enjoyed again. It was nice to see Sam Neill and Nicole Kidman as younger actors and actresses.
Mm.
God, she looked young in that. I don't know if she'd done anything prior to that, but I'm pretty sure that's the first film I saw her in. Anyway, it worked, but there were just elements to it that, you know, were just a little bit dated, I suppose, now. Still, I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. And I'm going to agree 100% with you on that. If you want a little bit of nostalgia, or if you wanted to see how we did thrillers back in the 80s, it will work in that respect. Just don't expect to watch something that you're going to want to go out and then buy and put in your collection. How's that?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah? All right. Well, anything else?
No, that's good. We're back at yours next time. But
Back at the Shire?
Is it my choice of film? No, it's your choice.
Yeah, it'd be my choice.
Yeah.
That was my choice, sadly, but then because Rebecca's, this was just a fitting, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So I get to choose again.
Ooh.
So difficult choosing films. I always try and choose something you've not seen.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, then I'll look forward to seeing everybody then.
Yeah, and
especially
hopefully
you.
before it gets too cold, let's get a few more in here.
I'd love it, especially if we have a DVD player that works.
Yeah. Okay. See you, Gavs.
Adios. Say bye, Jack. Bye.